Alright guys, I'm back with my review of this week's TNA Impact Wrestling for October 4th, 2012. Before I start talking about TNA, for those of you who watched my Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 500 Wrestlers video, I was at the store and they had the actual issue, where they have little articles on each pick. And I had to look at it. I had to find out what the reasoning was for why Great Khali was number 102. And I looked this up. And it didn't really say anything. It just said he feuded with Jinder Mahal, and then he was in the Elimination Chamber. That's it. They didn't say why they picked him or anything else. And I also looked at DJ Hyde's. It just talked about how he does the lariat and he beat Zandig. And then I looked at Necro Butchers, and it says he frequently wrestles for CZW. So they clearly have not watched CZW in a long time, because Necro hasn't been there in a while. So yeah, I don't know where they came up with that list. Also, about TNA, I wrote down some comments, or not comments, but some people left some good comments on my last Impact review. Liberty Bell wrote how they were kidnapped last week. Sting and Hogan were kidnapped, yet Hogan was supposed to have all these cops around. You remember when Hogan was like controlling the police force? He was directing traffic in the Impact Zone, telling the cops where to go. Like, they had all these cops, and then they had nothing. And they were just able to abduct Sting and Hogan. And Casper 1-3-ist was talking about how the Aces want full access. But with all these people on the inside in TNA working for them, they already have access. So that also doesn't really make sense. I just thought those were a couple good comments and points. Liberty Bell and Casper 13ist pointed out. And yeah, it's obvious stuff. I mean, when you do an angle like this, where you're invading the company, and you're beating up people, and you're kidnapping people, it's just, when it gets so ridiculous, and it's not done the right way, all you're going to end up with is people constantly saying, call the cops. Why didn't they call the cops? Why don't they just call the cops? Where are the cops? They just kidnapped someone. And that's just what's going to keep happening with this angle. And I do have to say, this week's Impact, they didn't really go too far into the silliness with the Aces. Yes, there is some silly stuff that happens, but they didn't go into it nearly as much as they have been. What they did was pretty goofy, though, with Joseph Park. But anyways, it wasn't that bad. I thought this was a nice, simple wrestling show. It focused on the wrestling. It built up matches to Bound for Glory, and that was it, really. They didn't do a whole lot of crazy. So I did enjoy that aspect of this week's show. However, the matches it had, they were average. I wouldn't say they were really great matches this week or anything. So it was kind of like an average show for me overall. But at least it wasn't insulting you with this crazy crap happening constantly. And last week was, I mean, TNA's been pretty good so far, I have to say. But yes, with the Aces and the way they've been doing this angle, it did get a little bit crazy last week with the whole abduction thing. That was a bit much. But this week I didn't think it was nearly as bad. So anyways, let me start this off here. Hogan tells Sting backstage to put a bullet in the Aces, or it could go on forever. So Sting's going to find someone who has a killer instinct. I thought they needed two guys. Apparently Sting is in the match. Oh man, this just brought the whole thing down for me. I really thought it was going to be something like they'd bring Matt Morgan back. I'm not a big fan of Matt Morgan, but he does have the size, and he's been gone for a while. It would have been a nice return surprise, but it's not Matt Morgan. And now we find out it's going to be Sting and Bully Ray. The only thing I can hope for is that Bully Ray turns on Sting and joins the Aces, or reveals himself to be the leader. One of those. Because right now, I don't care about this. I mean, the Aces have to win this match in order to continue the feud. So I do see that happening, and I think it's going to be thanks to Bully Ray. That's the only reason I can think they would put him in this match instead of going with the big surprise return of Matt Morgan, is that somehow Bully is playing into all this. Anderson versus Gunner with Kid Cash. Anderson wins with a mic check. Kid Cash attacks him, and then he gets the mic check too. Sting is very interested by this. He's watching all the matches backstage to find his guy, his partner. Tara's on the phone with her boo. Gail Kim comes up, says they have a tag match later, and if Tara wins at Bound for Glory, then she wants a title shot next. So we get Tara and Gail Kim versus Miss Tessmacher and ODB. Taryn Terrell is the referee, of course. This was actually a good match. The finish was a little funky, though. I think it was kind of a botch, like Miss Tessmacher may have missed her cue or something, maybe a lack of communication. But Tara's in the corner, and Gail Kim charges, but Tessmacher moves out of the way, and she's watching all of this, and Gail Kim stops before she hits Tara, and so Tessmacher sees all of this and then just turns around. Like, oh, what's going on over here? And that was what it was supposed to set up, so Tara throws Gail Kim into Miss Tessmacher, hits the Widow's Peak for the win. But it was a good match, I thought. Video package of the Al Snow Joey Ryan angle. So Al Snow comes out. He's wearing a suit, but his hair is soaking wet. It looked ridiculous. And Joey Ryan comes out. Al Snow tricks him into signing a contract for a match at Bound for Glory. I didn't care for this segment. It was really weird because I like Joey Ryan, and he was trying to be the heel. He was trying to play it up. He just didn't do that great of a job out there. I don't know what was going on with him, but it kind of sucked. The whole segment kind of sucked. So, of course, Al Snow tricks him into signing, and he's like, oh, before you sign it, and Al Snow's like, don't tell me what to do. So he signs it, and it's just so predictable. He finds out he's got to wrestle Al Snow. He's freaking out. Kurt Angle is trying to be Sting's partner, but Sting doesn't want him to do double duty. Kazarian and Daniels are peeking over the corner watching this like the Three Stooges. They're just like peeking over the wall. Daniels on the bottom half. Oh, that was awesome. So they're listening to this. Bully Ray comes up. He wants to be Sting's partner. Sting tells him he's got to prove it. Be a bully. I need a bully. Samoa Joe versus RVD for the TV title. Joe wins with a muscle buster. This was alright. I'm glad to see Samoa Joe on TV with the TV title. Hopefully they go back to defending it every single week, and this can continue to push Joe and give him some TV time. Chavo, Hernandez, and AJ are arguing backstage. Daniels and Kazarian come up. Kazarian calls Chavo Nacho Libre, and he says he saw Kurt Angle talking to Sting, and he doesn't even want to be in this match. King Mo arrives at 5:33 p.m. I don't know why they had to tell us the exact time he arrived at the building. Bully tells Austin Aries and Jeff Hardy he's going to punch one of them in the face later to prove himself to Sting. They decide to have a triple threat match tonight. The cameraman was recording this from some weird location. I don't know why they did this. It was strange. It was like from one of the trailers in a window with like some gray plastic in front of it. So anyway, we get Chavo with Hernandez versus Kurt Angle with AJ. This was a good match. Kurt Angle hits the 3 German suplexes. Chavo hits 3 amigos. He goes for the frog splash. He misses. Angle hits the Olympic slam. And he gets distracted by Hernandez, allowing Chavo to roll him up and get the win. Afterwards, the team starts arguing. They're going back and forth. And Kazarian and Daniels are just watching all of this from the ramp, laughing because they've got these teams against each other now. Douglas Williams versus Zema Ion for the X Division title. I'm not sure why Douglas Williams gets a title shot. I guess because he beat Evan Markopoulos in a gut check segment. I really have no idea why he's getting a title shot. But he taps to the armbar. This was very short. This armbar that Zema Ion's been using looks sick. I really like this finisher. And Zema refuses to break it, so he actually loses the match by DQ. The referee reverses the decision. And then Zema cuts a promo on how he won't be Sting's partner to fight the Aces and Eights. I thought that was good. More on King Mo. I'm trying to keep an open mind about King Mo. Usually when wrestlers come in, or when, athletes come in who do other sports, or they're in the entertainment industry, the movies or something, it usually ends badly. But every once in a while, you'll get a guy who was in another sport, and he's awesome. It just clicks with it, like Kurt Angle. He was the amateur wrestler, he comes into pro wrestling, and he just got it. He got pro wrestling, he got the business. And he's one of the greatest of all time. I would probably put Kurt Angle in my top 3 best wrestlers of all time. He's excellent. And you never know what you're going to get. Right now, like I said, I'm going to keep an open mind. But right now, I don't think King Mo has it. With that sparkly robe. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's always a toss-up with this. I hope it works for TNA. I hope he's good. But we'll just have to see. So, alright, where was I here? Bruce Pritchard is showing D'Lo Brown footage of Matt Morgan from a house show kicking a referee or something. And he tells D'Lo this can't happen again. Now, here's what I don't understand. Pritchard is like the boss, right? He's the creative booker guy. I'm not sure what exactly his role is, but I know he's one of the higher-ups in TNA. Legit, not kayfabe or anything. He's legit one of the people in charge there. And they kind of portray that on TV. I don't know if they actually call him the booker. I think he's the... I don't know what they call him on TV. But he is supposed to have some power role in the storyline or whatever. And Pritchard says, this can't happen again, and I'm thinking, was Matt Morgan fired? I mean, you should know this if you're in charge. And he's telling D'Lo, when was Matt Morgan on TV? When's the last time we've seen him in the Impact Zone? And D'Lo's like, about 5 months. And I'm thinking, you're in charge of the talent. Why hasn't he been on TV? Unless he was fired. And if he was fired, then you should be saying that to D'Lo. I don't know. The whole thing just didn't really make a lot of sense, and I thought it was kind of stupid. But yeah, they're going to do something to bring Matt Morgan back. So James Storm comes out, says he's going to prove to Bobby Roode that he's the better man. He talks about King Mo, puts him over. Roode comes out, says their match is going to be a bloodbath. No man can stop him. King Mo can't stop him. And if King Mo was here, he'd tell that to his face. So of course King Mo comes out with the crown, the sparkly robe. Bobby Roode makes fun of him, pushes him. King Mo pushes him back. Bobby Roode hits the floor and then leaves. King Mo gets in the ring. Storm raises his hand and they drink beer. That was it. Hogan tells Sting that he's picked his guy. He writes it on a piece of paper that we can't see and slips it to Sting, even though they're in Hogan's office. And Sting says he wants to see what Bully Ray can do first. Then we get a video from the Aces. It's Joseph Park being tortured by the Aces. They throw water in his face. They got jumper cables. They're like clacking these jumper cables together. The sparks are coming out. So the leader, or one of the Aces, I don't know anymore, is talking. And he's talking to Hogan. And Joseph Park says, "Let me go." And the leader looks at him and says, "It'll be okay." Are you serious? I don't know if he was saying it in a way to like try to mock Joseph Park, but it was just really funny to see this guy with the disguised voice. Joseph Park is like, "Let me go," and he's like, "It'll be okay." Just, I don't know. I thought it was strange. So all the Aces are ready to die for the Brotherhood, he says. And then they get ready to, they rip open Joseph Park's shirt. He's got on like a wife beater and it's all wet. And they get ready to put like these jumper cables on his wet nipples, and then the camera fades out. It was pretty goofy. I don't know like what they're gonna do with this whole Joseph Park thing. I know some people have said maybe he's involved, he's part of it, or Abyss is, and I could actually see, I don't know if they're gonna go with it or not, but I could see in some way Joseph Park being involved, but TNA could do this huge thing. And this is just something that came to mind when I was reading some comments about this. If they took Joseph Park and made him like the crazy mastermind, and he was having them torture him as a way to cover it up, he could be like the super criminal, like Kaiser Soze, and just be like this evil, deranged guy. Maybe it's because he was bullied, so he went out and found some aces. He was a lawyer, so he represented the aces at one point. He got to know the gang. And then he... I sound insane coming up with this, but it seriously only took me like 30 seconds to think of this. So he met the gang, he became friends with them, got to know them, and then when he got pushed around in TNA, he called on his friends, the Aces, and when he had that match with Bully and hit the slam, it snapped something in him, and he wanted to, go to the dark side, so he's willing to do whatever it takes to take over TNA, which is why he's allowing them to beat him up. And I know it sounds crazy, but yeah, I just thought of that earlier when I was watching it, because he is a lawyer. So I was thinking, all these people are saying Joseph Park could be involved, and how could he be involved? How could TNA make him know the Aces and still have it make sense? Well, he could have represented them as a lawyer. So that's the only thing I can think of to have Joseph Park connected to the Aces and still have it make sense. And it doesn't look like it's just there to shock people. Alright, so anyway, we get Bully Ray versus Jeff Hardy versus Austin Aries. Hardy hits a swanton on Bully Ray. Aries throws Hardy to the outside, puts Bully in the last chancery. Hardy breaks it up. They start arguing. Bully clotheslines him. Bully tosses Austin Aries over the top rope, and it looked like he just landed directly on Jeff Hardy's head. This was a very sick bump here. So Austin Aries is wrestling Bully. He actually tells the fans, "I don't need any of you." And then he hits a running dropkick on Bully. Bully goes to the outside. He can't find his chain. And so instead he grabs the title belt and he calls SoCal Val a stupid bitch. Really loud. And then he gets in the ring, and I guess he's supposed to hit Aries or something with the title belt. And Hardy's supposed to stop him. I don't know. He doesn't use the title belt. Instead, he hits the bubble bomb on Jeff Hardy and gets the win. He leaves, and afterwards, Austin Aries is raising the title to the fans, and they're booing him. And Jeff Hardy is showing Austin Aries that he can get a better reaction than him without the title, I guess, is what it's supposed to mean. And the fans are cheering, and Austin Aries is just looking on in disgust. It is a lot like the CM Punk angle, because Austin Aries is, I could see him saying, I'm not getting any respect even though I'm the world champion. And that it does kind of feel like that. It's a little bit different, but yeah. I don't know if people are going to compare it exactly to the CM Punk thing, but sometimes I feel like TNA just doesn't have him say, "I deserve respect," just because they don't want to be seen as copying that angle. If that makes any sense. Otherwise, I feel like they'd be doing that, saying that type of stuff. I think they're just kind of holding back because they don't want to copy the WWE. So Hogan and Sting come out. Hogan says the Aces have Joseph Park. He got the name right. Last week, Sting got it wrong, Hogan got it wrong, the Aces got it wrong. They were all calling him Parks. So Hogan says the man the Aces need to worry about is the Stingmon. Oh, Hogan. Hogan says Sting's partner is Mr. Anderson. They play his music, but he doesn't come out. Thank God. As soon as they said this, I was like, there's going to be a swerve he's not going to come out, because who in the hell would want to see this? So, we see the Aces have laid him out backstage. There's like a little video. And then there's this awkward silence in the Impact Zone. Like no one really cares at all. So Bully Ray runs out. He says it should be him. He tells Sting to convince Hogan. Hogan ends up shaking Bully's hand, and there you go. That's Sting's partner for Bound for Glory. And I really do think that this entire thing was set up just because Bully's going to join the Aces and Eights. That's the only reason he's in this match. That's why they had to put him in this match. It would make a lot more sense to have a big person return and put them in the match. And Bully's going on and on saying the Aces have hurt me more than anybody else. Well, really, they haven't ever touched Bully. They've never hurt Bully Ray. So that's already, kind of a sign that he's going to turn and join him. But anyways, I thought this was kind of an average episode of Impact this week, but I hope you guys liked this video. Leave your thoughts on this week's show in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Bye.